I definitely see that there's a huge demand for the money.
Yeah, there is. There's a demand for.
I'm just trying to make you money, my friend.
Yeah.
All right. Your email question. When you do a loan and it matures, do you automatically foreclose or do you sometimes extend the loan? And I think that's a good segue into the idea of, well, you do extend loans, but if you have to foreclose, or in this case, you are going through one, it looks like there's, not going to be any loss, maybe even a potential profit. That's what I see. All right.
So I've got plenty of stuff to talk about. I've got a couple of deals of the week.
Excellent.
And a couple of examples of 100% financing on bridge loan requests.
Okay.
And then I was going to start out talking about I've got an article here, The Recession's Economic Trauma Has Left Enduring Scars. And it talks about the people, how there's a segment of the population that's kind of been left out of the so-called recovery that we've been enjoying, in quotes, over the last 7 years. And I'll segue that into, just the nature of the economy and how the economy has been. While we've not been in a recession, we've been in a so-called, growth economy for 7 years. The growth has been really anemic. We see that in stock market returns, and still a lot of people today have they've endured 2 downturns. We had the tech stock market crash, which a lot of people lost money in, and then the real estate and stock market crash of 08. So there's this urgency to play catch up, and yet if all you have to look forward to is stocks and bonds, you're getting nervous because we're all getting older. So we can just feel free to make this as conversational as you want to on your end.
Okay.
So I don't, I'll hold up the lion's share of it.
Yeah.
But certainly.
I'll be glad when Gordon Field gets done.
Yeah.
Back and forth thing. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice guy. But
no, we have lots of deals like that every day. Nervous Nellies and.
I talked to Rick about this other deal that was coming down the pipe, but it's not going to be for 3 months or so. So
yeah, that's like so not on his radar.
Yeah, I told him. I said, yeah, don't worry about it. All right, here we go. Welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing on Talk 910. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm proud to have as my co-host Mark Hahn from Pacific Private Money, one of California's fastest growing mortgage investment firms. In fact, we've been doing this now for almost 6 years.
Yeah, coming up in August, 6-year anniversary.
Amazing. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. You're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during this show. And those vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, located about 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. Those vacations are free. They're only request a $100 cleaning fee to cover the housekeeping expenses. Check them out at lighthouseresortandmarina.com. Today's trivia theme is just miscellaneous trivia.
Oh,
gosh. Yeah, sorry.
Good luck.
Good luck on that one.
For me.
All right. Mark, we got a lot of stuff to cover. What do you got?
Well, there was an article this past week in the Wall Street Journal that I thought was very poignant and kind of covers a lot of what we've been talking about, this year. Things like, anemia in the stock market, anemic returns in general. We've talked in prior shows about the lost generation of people who past 10 years have not really been able to grow their savings in the way that they had hoped to maybe decades ago. And we're all getting older, and we're all looking toward retirement.
Speak for yourself, but go ahead.
And this article was titled "The Recession's Economic Trauma Has Left Enduring Scars." And so, the recession officially ended 7 years ago, but persistent joblessness and underemployment marred the economic expansion that has followed. And again, we all know that the economic expansion has been very, very anemic in many areas, except for real estate price appreciation over the last 5 years. But just about every other segment of the market has really, lagged.
I know, that's the thing is you say that it technically ended 7 years ago in 2009.
Well, according to economists and other eggheads, the recession, but for a lot of people, the recession never ended.
Yeah, but I would have thought that would have been like 2012 or 13 maybe.
Well, according to the definition of when a recession ends based on GDP growth, that happened in 2009. So, growing body of evidence, or a growing body of research rather, suggests the economic trauma has left financial and psychic scars on many Americans, and those marks are likely to endure for decades.
Such as?
Well, for example, they talk about a guy here, Gary. I won't mention his last name. They actually have several examples like this in the article. Gary was earning six figures when he lost his his tech industry job in 2000, which was the first big crash that happened in the last 15 years was in 2000. He was making about half of his year 2000 salary when he was laid off again in 2008. Now he's 61 years old, unemployed, and looking to how to improve his odds in the job market. So he leaves his family in San Jose for a few months to live in a college dorm and finish a long-abandoned bachelor's degree.
Oh, wow. I mean, it almost reminds you of hearing stories about people who grew up during the Depression. And so they're saving every little paperclip because of it.
Yeah, and so here it says about 1 in 6 workers became unemployed during the recession years of 2007, 8, and 9. And today, nearly 14 million people are still searching for a job or stuck in part-time jobs because they can't find full-time work. And you've heard that statistic. We brought that to bear in previous shows where there's like 90 million people of working age that are not working. And yet all the government and the politicians ever talk about is, we have a 5% unemployment rate. And that is so incredibly misleading because that doesn't include the people that are underemployed or gave up looking for work and have long exhausted their unemployment
and
benefits.
What do they do, living with their parents?
Well, who knows what people are, or living off of maybe they're just living off their savings or their any kind of 401k or other savings that they had. So, U.S. economic output remains stubbornly below its potential level as estimated by the Congressional Budget Office. And many people probably won't be back on their feet by the time the next recession arrives, which right now, if you poll economists, most of them are predicting the next recession for around 2018. Although the fact of the matter is no one really knows because one of the benefits of relatively anemic growth is that we're kind of just puttering along at this rate, and there actually isn't any signs, according to an economist that we listened to a couple of weeks ago, noted California economist who accurately predicted the last recession. He says there's nothing that he sees in the statistics in the horizon that would suggest that a recession is imminent, even though the safe bet is to say, 2018. But, 2 years ago they were saying it was going to be 2017, so they keep pushing out that number. Much like when are interest rates going to go up, right? We were supposed to be living in a 5 or 6% interest rate environment today, mortgage rates that is, and there's now they're at 3.5 right now at a 3-year low. So it's really so why are we talking about this? We're a show about investing. This is if you're looking for where to invest your money and how to make up for the hit you took in 2000, which you and I both did, the hit you took in 2007 or 8 in your real estate and or stock portfolio, or both, which you and I both did. And like us, and we're a couple of guys in our mid-50s here, and we're looking at redeveloping or regrowing our retirement portfolio savings, like many, if not most Americans. What do you do? Where do you invest your money? And of course, we've talked on this show ad nauseum about alternative investments, real estate related investments. Of course, those of you who've been investing in real estate for the past 5 years, if you had the money to go back into real estate in 2011, 2012, 2013, if you did it right, you're smiling because you've been able to earn back some of those lost profits that you might have absorbed in the stock market. And I know that many of the people that we loan to at Pacific Private Money Loans have done exactly that. In fact, our lending practice has grown considerably because of people who have been successful in buying, fixing, and flipping real estate. But the other side of the coin is our source of capital. Private individuals have been investing in companies like Pacific Private Money throughout the Bay Area and actually throughout California. There's dozens, if not in the small hundreds of companies in California that large and small, that are out there serving the non-bank demand for capital, and they're using private money from individuals just like you and I, who invest in whose money is used to make loans secured by real estate. So we're making money being the bank, and when we get back, we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Very good. Okay, we're going to cut to a commercial break here. I want to make a quick little mention for the Napa Valley Jazz Getaway. They're holding it on June 8th to 12th. They're going to have a festival that brings together the best wines of Napa Valley, as well as several renowned jazz musicians. They're going to hold the events across multiple different theaters and vineyards. That'll be fun. Check them out at www.jazzgetaway.com for tickets. All right, so let's cut to our first commercial break. Again, the trivia theme is miscellaneous trivia. This is a tough one. What is the longest river in Europe? Okay, the first caller with the correct answer is going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190 to answer that question. Don't touch that dial. The best of investing. I'll be right back.
I'm trying to remember there's a river in Germany.
It's from Russia to the Caspian Sea.
Ooh, okay.
I'd never heard this one before. Do you want to know the answer and sound really smart?
No. I'll just guess the Rhine River and it would be.
Okay. What do you want to cover next?
Let's. I think I can continue on.
Okay.
A little bit and. Talk a little bit about our fund.
Okay.
And I think I will talk. No, I better not. I can't talk about the fund we haven't launched yet, the other fund, because we're not supposed to advertise that.
Sorry. Say, well, we can't talk about this.
We might have something else, but we can't talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, if we don't advertise it,
That's true.
we can just talk about what we're planning on doing. Why not?
Yeah.
Because it's just something if we're talking about in the future. It is
An opportunity for unaccredited investors. That's actually, and it's actually more, it's even more conservative.
Okay. Here we go. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn, president of Pacific Private Money. First commercial break question we asked was, what is the longest river in Europe?
Well, being of German descent, and I've only been to Germany, that's the only part of Europe I've ever visited, I'm just going to go ahead and guess the Rhine River.
No, it's the Volga, which it goes from Russia to the Caspian Sea, 2,294 miles.
Wait a minute, is Russia considered Europe?
It ain't Asia, so I guess so.
When I think of Europe, I always think about the European...
France, Germany, Italy, yes. All right, Mark, you want to continue on there?
So we started, just by talking about an article that I had found in the Wall Street Journal I thought was interesting that said that the recession's economic trauma has left enduring scars. And I'm also remembering an article I read also in the Wall Street Journal that was an opinion piece published last summer that predicted that the stock market was going to underperform in the following decade. Now, of course, a year later, I mean, we've seen the stock market run up a little bit, then it went down quite a bit at the beginning of 2016, and now it's recovered to largely where it started at the beginning of 2016. But if you're an index fund investor and it goes up and then it goes down, it goes up and it goes down again, but the trend line is relatively flat. That's not very encouraging. I mean, we haven't seen significant year-over-year yields, and economists that I've heard and read today, a year later after that article about expect anemic growth in the stock market in the future, they're basically saying the same thing. There isn't anybody that I'm reading or hearing that's predicting the stock market's going to take off and grow 10% in the next year, or even a healthy 5 or 6% or 8% over the next several years. Most of them are hedging and predicting little to no growth. And again, individual stocks, if you're great at picking and you pick the right companies and you do your research, and there's always money to be made in the stock market. But many of us, we've got busy lives. We've got practices, we've got work, we've got jobs. We don't really, we want to take our savings and stick it somewhere where it's going to grow, and we don't have to actively manage it, right? And of course, that's why we use financial planners. But even with a financial planner, if that financial planner was raised and educated largely on stocks and bonds and conservative portfolio management, maybe you're not achieving the kind of levels of growth again through that platform that is going to help you retire successfully whenever that point in time may be for you. So we talk about alternative investments here, and you've heard us talk about in previous shows the Pacific Money Fund. And the Pacific Money Fund is now about to hit its third year in existence. We've been generating private money loans with private capital since 2008, but in 2013 we did launch the Pacific Money Fund because there were so many people who were calling us, largely because of the radio show, thanks to the radio show, and saying, hey, how can I get in on that, being the bank where my money gets to fund real estate loans and I can make 8% or more on my money. And so we created the Pacific Money Fund, and we built it and modeled it so that it would produce right around 8%, and it's been producing in the low 8% range consistently now for 35 months and counting. We're about to hit our 3-year anniversary, as I said. And so, how do we do that? Well, we make short-term loans. Again, like we've talked about on this show for years, we make short-term, some call them bridge loans, some call them hard money loans, but they're privately funded loans. The type of loan that you would get from the bank in terms of paperwork, but in terms of qualifying for the loan, it's a lot easier, and we make decisions a lot quicker, and people come to us because of how quickly we can react to a loan request and how much easier it is to qualify for one of our loans, because we make the decisions on our loans subjectively. We listen to your story. Because we're lending largely here in Northern California, most of it in the Bay Area, we know the neighborhoods. We can easily quantify the property. We can listen to the story. We can evaluate the exit strategy, meaning how are you going to repay the loan, because we really like to make short-term loans. And we revolve the capital. And again, the capital is from our investors, and we revolve that capital, and we generally charge 10% on that money. And we're able to pay our investors an 8% yield based on those 10% notes.
Well, okay, so we got an email from a listener. It says, when you do a loan, I guess it means when you fund a loan, and it matures, do you automatically foreclose, or do you sometimes extend the loan?
So in our industry, in the private lending industry, we generally like to make short-term loans. That's not every private lender's business model. There are some out there that make 20-year fully amortized loans at 9, 10, 11%, whatever. We're not in that business. We like to make 12-month loans. We'll make 24 and 36 loans from time to time on exception, but generally speaking, we look for our loans we look for lending situations and loan requests where the borrower is likely and wants to repay us off as quickly as possible, and generally within 6 months to a year. Now, we'll write a 12-month note, for maybe someone who's buying, fixing, and flipping property. And 12 months later, maybe they ran out of money, maybe they didn't finish yet, maybe it's running long and they need more time. Do we automatically foreclose? The answer is almost always no. Now, I also have to say it depends, because we make loans through our fund, but we also make loans with private individuals who want their name on the loan. That's called, it's also known as trust deed investing or note investing. And so there's two ways we fund a loan, either through our mortgage pool fund, the Pacific Money Fund, or if we've deployed all that capital, then we go to our database of high net worth individuals and see if any of them want to fund the loan, in which case their name goes on the loan and the deed of trust. Now sometimes, and they're in control, so if after 12 months they don't want to extend, they don't have to. They can, if they want to, file a notice of default.
Yeah, I think this is more gearing like for the fund.
Yeah,
when you're in charge.
Yeah, in practice though, it rarely happens. Most of the time, first of all, note investors are note investors because they want to earn the high interest rate. And if they feel that the property is still, the value is still there,
and
there's
the borrower's still paying.
The borrower's still paying. You know, if they get their money back, they're just going to call me up and go, hey, Mark, what do you have else to invest in? Do you have any new notes that I can invest in? So the answer is, we do a lot of extending. Now, we may charge you a fee, but generally the fee is not the same as the fee going in. Like if we charge 3 points for you initially for that 12-month note, we might charge, generally, our rule of thumb for us is about 50% on the
Yeah, because you don't have to do the same kind of underwriting.
Right.
From the
so maybe you'll pay 1.5 points, or maybe you just need a 6-month extension. We might say, okay, well, that's going to be a point.
Gotcha.
Or half a point. It really depends on how big the loan is, how good a borrower you are. Are you a repeat borrower? Have you borrowed from us before? So again, we're subjective lenders. It's really, it's about the story. And so that's what sets us apart from the banks. We're not the nameless, faceless, every time you call the 800 number, you wait on hold, go through a whole bunch of push these buttons. Yeah, right, and talk to a different person every time. That's not what it's like when you deal with private lenders.
Okay, so if there is a time though where you have not, you decide not to extend the loan, you will foreclose. I mean, you have the ability to do that, and
well, here's the thing. Again, as the manager of the company, I don't like to file a notice of default. That's when you say foreclose on a property. Foreclosure is a 4-month process in California. So the first step of foreclosure, which again is a process, is to file something called a notice of default, which is recorded publicly, and it starts a 90-day clock ticking. And after 90 days, if you've not reinstated the loan or paid it off, then the lender can next file and record what's known as a notice of sale, and that's a 21-day process, at which point it goes to the auction at the courthouse steps, sometimes people say, and others can buy it, or if nobody buys it because maybe they don't believe the property is worth that much money, then it reverts back to the owner. The ownership goes to the lender. Now, that happens very rarely. We've done that less than 10 times in our company, and we've done over 1,200 loans since 2008. So it's a very rare occurrence. So less than 1% of the loans we've done have gone to.
And I understand that there is a potential foreclosure going on in the fund, but there's not going to be. You don't expect there to be a loss, as I understand.
No, we've actually got a situation in a loan that's in the fund where we expect to actually make a really nice profit. We're doing a workout with the borrower, but that workout, if all goes as planned and everything's already been signed, is that the fund will pay to remodel the property and sell it, and we're told by local agents that we can expect a nice tiny profit for the fund. So we're looking forward to that. So that's the good news. You can actually, when you're a lender, you can, there are people who lend privately. And
loan to own.
And they're called loan to own guys. And if you're a borrower, you need to watch out for the loan to own guys, because they make you the loan hoping you're going to default, because all the real estate they own they've got by lending against it and then foreclosing. So
and also they're lending at 60 or 70% loan to value, so they're getting it cheap.
We're not at Pacific Private Money. We are not loan to own guys. I do not like to foreclose. And so I was going to finish by saying, because you asked the question about foreclosure, if my lender on that loan after 12 months says, no, I don't want to extend, file a notice of default, I will intervene generally and refinance that loan for the borrower. Now, the borrower might not enjoy the fact that he has to pay for a new set of for a new set of keys to the to the money.
That's a good
It would
point.
be a full refinance at that point. I might be able to discount a little bit, but but that's what I would be able to do. And again, the demand for good loans is strong, and so so again, if the guy wants out, I can usually accommodate that. So risk of foreclosure is generally very low if you're dealing with a reputable company. At Pacific Private Money, we've got a stellar reputation in the Bay Area, among the best for private loan originators.
So from an investor standpoint, when they are in the fund and they're getting their 8%, they're happy. And in one case, looks like there may be a foreclosure where there may be make more than 8%.
Right. Existing fund members are going to benefit from that. That's what's nice about this particular situation. If you're already in the fund, you're going to get a nice little spiff when this comes to fruition, which is probably going to be during the month of June. So
very good.
So for more information, our website. The fund has its own website, pacificmoneyfund.com. That's pacificmoneyfund.com. If you listen to 910 regularly, you've heard Gil Gross do our commercials, and it's all the same information. You can call us and leave a message at 415-883-2150, 415-883-2150, or visit pacificmoneyfund.com.
All right. Before we cut to our next commercial break, I want to make a little mention here for the Wine Garden Children's Golf Event that's happening on June 6th. So, imagine if your child cannot hear or speak, what do? Where do you go? Wine Garden Children's Center provide innovative and effective services to children with hearing and communication difficulties. So you can support them by doing this golf tournament here, which is pretty cool. You can check them out. Let's see, you can call here 650-483-1832. Let them know that you heard it on the Best of Investing, and I'm planning to go play a little golf there myself on June 6th. They're holding it at the San Mateo.
Feel sorry for the lawn.
Yeah, that's right.
Damn it, Syracuse.
Hey, they don't call me Duffer for nothing. And so it's going to be held at the Peninsula Golf and Country Club. So that ought to be really kind of fun. All right, so we are going to cut to the next commercial break. Here we go.
I'm going to get this one this time.
Yeah, well, you have a choice of 9. It used to be 9, and now it's only 8. What planet is the hottest in our solar system? Okay, and I can tell you it's not Neptune. So you're down to less than 8 of them. All right, the first caller with the correct answer wins a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-912-1190 to answer that question. What planet in our solar system is the hottest? All right, stay with us. The Best of Investing. We'll be right back. All right.
It's either Jupiter, Saturn, or Mercury, but I don't know.
And it's a planet you've heard of. How's that? That's a hint.
It's not Pluto because that's cold.
And it's not a planet anymore.
It's
a dwarf planet. Poor Pluto.
Oh, now it's a dwarf planet?
Yeah, that's stupid. I think
they changed it to an asteroid, then a dwarf planet, then back to a planet.
You know what it really comes down to? They just want to make a name for themselves. It's a planet. It's always been a planet.
It's a cold spinning rock so far from the sun that it's barely clinging on to the light.
And it still amazes me how telescopes can even see,
Well, it's also amazing if you see like a scale model representation. If the sun is the size of a basketball, then Pluto is like a mile away.
Yeah.
And how does the gravitational effect work that far?
All that stuff.
It's amazing.
It is really fascinating.
Yeah. So we'll go into a couple of minutes. You can ask me about deals of the week.
Yes. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, still, and Mark Hoff of Pacific Private Money. What planet is the hottest in our solar system?
So I'm thinking, well, it's probably hottest on Mercury, but I don't know if that makes it the hottest planet. So then I'm thinking Jupiter or Saturn. How about Saturn?
No, Venus.
What?
Yeah, 735 degrees, which is 462 degrees Celsius. So even though most people thought it's Mercury, because of the nature of the gases that are around Venus actually
Yeah.
make it hotter, like a microwave, so to speak.
She's a hot lady.
Yeah. Hey, but Mark, before we get into deal of the week, I do want to make a quick little mention here. We've been getting some phone calls for this, so we're going to ask people to call us again. There is a bank that is currently paying 1%. Now, it's not nearly as exciting as your 8% that you're paying at Pacific Private Money, but this is FDIC insured. And
It's a real bank account. It's
a-
liquid, and you could probably put it in, take it out, and put it in, take it out.
Exactly. So to find out exactly what bank is paying 1%, you can either email edward@bestifinvesting.com or call 888-912-1190, and we will tell you which bank that is. But you got to call. We're not going to tell you on the air. Okay. So Mark, give us a deal of the week.
So for the audience, we do deal of the week most every show. Edward asks me, hey, you working on anything interesting, or do you have a deal of the week that's worth discussing? And actually, I've got a couple that came in this week that I think are great examples of the types of loans we do. Because as we've been talking about on this show, at Pacific Private Money, we have the Pacific Money Fund where people can invest their capital, and we use the money in that fund, the money that's pooled together, and we make real estate loans. We also have high net worth individuals who work with Pacific Private Money, and some of them work with a few other loan originators as well. They like us the best, and they
Of course.
they also fund our loans. But the question always comes up: who would borrow at 10%? Why do people need to come to a company like Pacific Private Money? Why can't they just go to the bank or call their local mortgage broker and get the loan they need to buy the real estate? And so the answer is because there's a lot of situations where you can't get bank financing for a particular transaction. We've talked about that on the show a lot. Sometimes it's need for speed. Because of the way the real estate market has gone the last several years, we have super tight inventory in the Bay Area. In fact, most of California has tight inventory. What happens when inventory is tight? Well, there's a lot more competition, a lot more buyers are out there. It's what's called a seller's market right now, meaning there's a lot of buyers. Sometimes there's multiple bids for a property on the market, and the winners, so to speak, that the sellers or the seller's agents generally pick are the cleanest offers. And what makes up a clean offer? Well, maybe an all-cash offer, or one that closes quickly, or one that has very few, if any, loan contingencies, or not just a loan contingency, but any contingency. And so what people have learned to do, people who have become savvy, or maybe they just become so frustrated of losing offer after offer after offer that they've made on homes, is they learn that they can actually go in and make an all-cash offer, or a very low contingency or no contingency offer, and use a privately funded loan, also called hard money loan, to close. And yes, it's not bank financing, it's not 4% money, it's not 5% money, it's 10% money, but you pay for the convenience and the ability to close quickly, because you're not going to get a quick close, a 10-day close with bank or conventional financing. It just isn't going to happen. So speed is one of them. The other one is sometimes it's an oddball transaction, and I've got a couple of them for you here. So we had two requests this week for what essentially was 100% financing. And if you've heard the show before, you'll know that at Pacific Private Money, we don't make 100% loan-to-value loans. Very few people do at all in this industry anymore. We like to limit our loan exposure to 70% loan-to-value, meaning there's 30% protective equity just in case something goes wrong. Now, just because we limit it to 70% loan-to-value doesn't mean we can't 100% finance a transaction. Why? Well, what if you have additional equity? What if you have another property, or maybe another couple of properties that you can offer up as collateral, because those properties have equity? Yeah. And so we can and do regularly do 100% financing on a purchase transaction, because we cross-collateralize an additional piece of property. So here's something that's very common. This happened again this week. A couple wants to buy a home in Napa. They do not want to sell the house they're living in now. They went to their bank, and their bank told them, or their mortgage broker told them, you do not make enough money to have two home loans at the same time. That is very common today, thanks to the Dodd-Frank lending restrictions that have been passed over the last several years. So they want to buy a home for $1.1 million. They need a loan for $1.1 million. They have enough money for the closing costs, but that's it right now. The rest of their net worth, their access to liquidity is tied up in the home they're living in right now.
What's their current home worth?
So I don't have those numbers. I didn't bring that with me because when I ran out, I talked to my crew today and I was talking about it. I said, tell me about that Napa deal. What was the combined loan to value when you took the equity of their existing home and added if we made 100% purchase on that $1.1 million target Napa property? And the answer was it's 55% combined loan to value. And the way we calculate that is we'll take the $1.1 million target property purchase price, we'll take the existing home's market value, and then we'll subtract the loan we're going to make for them on the purchase, which in this case is the same as the purchase price, $1.1 million, and also add the loan that they have in first position on their existing home. I'm sorry about the math. I know a few of you, your eyes have glazed over, but Edward's doing the math on a calculator to see if he can predict.
Well, it's basically $2 million, but then again, we don't know what the
we don't know what it depends on what the value.
That's just the equity.
So we love loans like that, and so we'll make that loan, and we like the loan also because there is a viable repayment strategy, which we call an exit strategy. So we'll help them buy the home. We'll give them a loan for $1.1 million. We'll close on the Napa property. Then they're going to do a little bit. They're going to move out of their existing home. They're going to clean it up a little bit, fix it up, put it on the market, get full price for it. Then they're going to pay down the $1.1 million loan we gave to them to some number, and then they're going to refinance the balance with a new first. And so, yes, you can pay off a private loan. In fact, pretty much any mortgage you can pay off in chunks like that. So we will reconvey the existing home when they are ready to sell it, and they don't have to pay off our loan in full. They can partially pay it off. We'll have a minimum that we'll expect them to pay it down, so that again we'll be left with a less than 70% exposure on the final property. But again, we like those loans. Those are great, and we know that they're going to pay us off because they don't want to keep a 10% loan any longer than they need to. So here's the second one that came in this week that I'm not as much a fan of, and you'll understand why. Okay. So a guy calls and he wants to buy a bed and breakfast.
Oh, right there. Okay.
And it's in Mendocino County, which is a little bit outside of, it's a little bit less of a marketable area, extended towards the outskirts of what one might call, well, it's in Northern California. It's definitely not in the Bay Area. Nice B&B, got a combination of apartments and rooms. And so he asked me about what our financing programs are, and I explained it to him. Then he goes, well, if I have other property, can you make me 100% finance? So I want to buy it for $1,150,000. Can you make me a loan for $1,150,000? So well, tell me about the other property. He said, well, it's my girlfriend's property. And so then we got into the conversation of, well, is she going to be one of the buyers of the bed and breakfast? And he said, well, not necessarily. And then we explained to them how the mechanics of that would work. And the answer is that we can. Again, we haven't decided whether we like the deal yet, but you can bring in property that's owned by somebody else, and we can encumber that property. Now, it's a little bit, different paperwork, and there's some legality to it. And it wouldn't be the first time we've made a loan to somebody who put up collateral that was owned by somebody else, and that person did not go on title to the property we made them the loan for. So, but I said, since it's your girlfriend, you might be a good idea to put her on title for the B&B as well, and then at least she knows you're not going to leave her hanging or leave her strapped with a bunch of debt.
Exactly.
The reason that we're not as big a fan of this loan is that what he said he wanted to do to pay off our loan is get an SBA loan. Well, the problem is that you can't get an SBA refinance for 100% of your acquisition price. So again, he wanted us to make him a loan for $1,150,000, the full purchase price, and his exit strategy is a little bit of a pipe dream,
Yeah.
unless his girlfriend's going to sell her house and pay down our loan a little bit, and then what? Are they going to move into the B&B, and now you've got a primary residence
Yeah.
situation where different regulations step in, and so anyway, it's a little bit
It's
of
a thicket.
It's a thicket. Yeah, I was going to say a cluster, but it's
Yeah.
a thicket. Yeah. So again, a couple of examples of unique and unusual and or atypical transactions, and that's really why people come to Pacific Private Money. Is they call us and say, "This is what I'm trying to do. Can you help?" And if we can, the trade-off is you're going to have to pay more for the money. The good news is we're going to make it easy for you, and it's a really friendly process. We've got a great staff. We've got a really strong reputation for making it really painless. The caveat is it's going to cost you some origination points and fees and a high rate, but you get to do the transaction because
Less stressful.
they come to us. We're always a plan B. We're never plan A. Well, sometimes we're a plan
Sometimes,
A.
though.
We're plan A when your credit's so horrible the banks won't even let you in the door.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, people go to the bank first. They find out, unfortunately, no, it doesn't qualify for a bank transaction, and then they come to us. And so we make it worth your while, and we help you. We help make dreams come true.
There you go.
Gag me, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, for more information, call us at Pacific Private Money, 415-883-2150. Our brokerage website is pacificprivatemoney.com. Go there for more information. See our smiling faces. Very transparent company. We pride ourselves in that. We're not your grandfather's hard money breakaway lender, but we've got a lot of really happy clients. So check us out. Check out our testimonials. Go to our website, pacificprivatemoney.com.
And when we come back, I want to ask you a question about for people who can't qualify to be an investor in your fund, because there are rules. Not everyone can just walk up and go, "Hey, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. I want to earn 8%.
Yeah,
Here's some money."
100,000,
Yeah. Okay. We're going to cut to our last commercial break. Before we do, I want to make a mention here for Alcatraz cruises.
Same thing.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
No. So Alcatrazes.com, it's the only company offering transportation and tours to Alcatraz Island.
Nice.
And in 2015, it was voted the #1 landmark in America. How about that?
It is fun. I went last summer.
Did you? It's cool. And looking out for jail and everything.
Yeah, it's totally cool. You got to go. If you live in the Bay Area and you haven't gone, you need to. It's one of the reasons you live here.
Exactly. And so choose AlcatrazCruises.com or call 415-981-7625. Okay, here's our last commercial break trivia question. What ship was commanded by Jack Sparrow? So we are talking about, what are we talking about? Pirates of the Caribbean. There we go. The first caller with the correct answer wins a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. 888-912-1190 to answer that question. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
I can't believe that was on the tip of my tongue.
That's what I figured it was going to be one of those
Pirates of the
questions.
Save this and figure out who's Jack Sparrow. Gosh almighty. I mean, I saw the movie, but I don't remember what they call his boat. It's not a boat,
It's called
a ship.
It's called the boat's called the boat.
Boat.
The boat.
The Black Swan. Well, that
There
was
you
another
go.
movie.
The Black Swan. Don't you guess that? Maybe you're right.
The Nebuchadnezzar.
Jolly Roger.
Chocolate Orange.
Davy Jones Locker.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar, that's it.
I used to call him Nebuchadnezzar. Correct. Okay. How much time we got here?
27, 35.
We've got, what's the short one? 7 minutes.
Oh,
and
good.
39 seconds.
Told me 11 minutes. I don't know if I could have. I could definitely fill it, but it might be boring.
All right. What's a baby go? I'm going to make one quick little mention here for these guys here. All right.
Yeah, we'll fill it.
Welcome back to the Best of Investing. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hunt, president of Pacific Private Money. Now, when we get to the last commercial break, we asked this trivia question: what ship was commanded by Jack Sparrow?
I saw the movies and I can't remember.
What were we going to say?
The Nebuchadnezzar.
No, the Black Pearl.
The Black
Remember?
Pearl.
Okay. And boy, what
Wrong sci-fi movie.
Wrong one, exactly. We want to make a mention here for whitewater rafting is the ultimate team sport, and since 1972, Mother Lode River Center has been running river trips from wild to wild on the American River. So give them a call at 530-626-4187 or go to malode.com. See you on the river. Okay, Mark, question for you.
Yes.
People call up a Pacific Private Money and they want to invest, but not everyone can invest. What you got qualifications?
That's right.
What's
We
going
do
on?
have qualifications. So you've heard us talk about the Pacific Money Fund that's currently paying a little over 8%. And again, future performance or past performance is not a promise of future results. Always have to say that because we don't guarantee the 8%, but based on the deal flow we have, the loans we make, the interest rates we charge, and our belief of the direction the market is headed, we believe that we are going to continue to pay that 8% rate to our investors going forward. In fact, we've modeled this out several years. And now, the Pacific Money Fund, like pretty much all mortgage pool funds, is, in addition to being called an alternative investment, it's also referred to as a syndication. So you put these syndications together, there's certain rules and regulations we have to perform. It is audited. There is a fund administrator that does the third party that does the accounting and the distributions, the monthly distributions of the income. But because of the regulations that we developed the fund under, we are only able to accept investment capital from people who are deemed to be accredited investors. And again, that's not our rule. That is in SEC regulation. You must qualify to invest in the fund by passing the definition of an accredited investor. And the definition of an accredited investor is someone who has a net worth of at least $1 million, not including the equity in their home. And I can't tell you how many people call us and they have a net worth of over $1 million, but
Most of it's in their home.
most of it's in their home. And if you take the home out of the equation, they don't have an additional or a separate $1 million net worth, and so that disqualifies a number of people. Now, we are developing an alternative investment right now that's going to be even more conservative than the Pacific Money Fund. It's not available yet, but we would like to continue to collect names and contact information of people who would be interested in more information about this fund, and that there'll be a lower qualification threshold. There'll still be a qualification threshold, but most people listening who have the kind of minimum investment that we would be looking for are very, very likely to qualify. So right now, the minimum investment for the Pacific Money Fund, if you qualify under the accredited investor qualification rule, is $50,000. So we don't. That's how you get started, and then you can add to it as you go along. Our average investor is in for about $200,000. We have just under 100 investors in the Pacific Money Fund. And we also ask that you keep the money in for a 2-year period, a minimum of 2 years. If you need it sooner, you can get it out, but there's a redemption fee, an early redemption charge. Now, the fund is designed to be a no-load fund, meaning there's no expenses against your investment going in or going out if you keep it in for 2 years. So that's really important to understand because a lot of investments have loads, and a lot of investments have additional charges and sales commissions. So the 8% that we pay to our investors every month is after all of the expenses. It's after the management fee. It's after the accruals for the cost of the audit and the cost to prepare the tax returns and to pay the CPA and all that. It's after that. That is a true net return to our investors, that 8% plus that we've been paying out. So when you invest, let's say $100,000 in the Pacific Money Fund, It goes to work as soon as we have an investment for it. So it might take a couple of weeks to activate that money. And the average time a new investor capital sits waiting to be deployed is anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. But once it's deployed, you begin earning that yield, and all of your money goes to work. So not a portion of it. So all of it. You put $100,000 in, it all goes to work. You earn on that just as if you put it into, a mutual fund or money market account. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
And when you go to get it out, you get $100,000 if it's after 2 years. You don't. There's no charge against that. And the early redemption fees are nominal. They're not designed to be punitive. We just don't want you to treat the account like a money market account. Although after 2 years you can. I mean, really, no one has yet. But in theory, you could put
why would you want to
$50,000
get
in
out?
and then take it out and put it in and take it out. Well, some people do need holding tanks for their capital. I mean, maybe they're saving up for a down payment for a house or to make another large purchase, and they like that money to be earning. And so again, it hasn't happened with us yet. I as it grows, I imagine that somebody is probably going to do that.
Sure.
But anyway, that's how the fund works. And so again, if you're not an accredited investor and you're looking for opportunities, we do have other channels that we can expose to you. And for more information, just please give us a call at 415-883-2150, or go to our website and read all about us at pacificprivatemoney.com.
Very good. All right, we're gonna cut out here. Any last 30 seconds?
It's been an hour already. Oh my gosh.
Well, there's been 2 of us. Usually we have another co-host, but
Well, really excited about the Warriors, and really excited to see how this goes.
oh, by the way, you also every
Oh,
third
once-
Wednesday
yeah,
or something? Or?
The last Wednesday of
Wednesday.
every month, we do an investor presentation. So for more information, be sure to get our invitation for an investor presentation in downtown Nevada.
Very good. Okay, thoughts for the day. Winston Churchill said, "Don't worry about avoiding temptation. As you grow older, it will avoid you." And Spike Mulligan said, "Money can't buy you happiness, but it does bring you a more pleasant form of misery." Tune in next week to The Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away more free vacations for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long. Great. Yay. It's all up. It's all
That turned
up.
out good.
Yeah.
Just make this shit up as we go along.